All right, here we are, second week. We're going to start the ecosystems number 2. Most of us are set up in Google Classroom, right? I know there's some new people that have come back. They've been out for a little bit. As soon as we get a computer, we'll get them set up in Google Classroom, but it's pretty easy. Again, we all kind of laughed about this last week, right? It's really hard not to know where to go in Mr. Bullen's website, right? The big finger tells you where you need to go. Do I post some things down here? Yeah, every once in a while. But the stuff that you need is, boom, right here in classwork. Ecosystems week number 2. If you click on Ecosystems week number 2, which you do not have to do in class right now, we'll do that later on. If you look at that, you'll notice Ecosystems number 2 vocabulary packet, which all of us have. If you don't have one, I'll give you a copy today. But only one person here wouldn't have a copy. Ecosystems Google Slides. This is very important. This tells us everything we're doing this week. Ecosystems project, and then for somebody that might not be here, I even gave them a copy of the morning work that you all have on your desk in class right now, so you don't really have to open that up, Brandon, and do anything with it at home, because you have this in class, right? You have this in your hand. So let's take a look at what we are going to be doing this week, and that's going to be under Ecosystems Slides, and it takes us through the whole week. Mine's going to look a little different than yours because yours should show up a little different than this. You shouldn't be able to edit anything. Maybe you can, but I wouldn't edit anything. All right, so here we go. Monday, what are we going to do? We're going to review last week's terms and concepts. We're going to keep talking about last week. We're not just going to forget about it. We're going to talk about this week's vocabulary. We're going to look at the Google Slides project, which is very easy. We're going to finish that before Friday. We're going to do GimKit login. I should probably put in here, we're also going to do the Pixton login today as well. And I have a link in here for people that might be at home thinking, I've still not been to school, Mr. Bullens. I don't know what Nearpod is. I've never been there. I gave them a link to Nearpod here. And you'll notice over here, do you see these codes? So obviously, if you are in my class, you're in Mr. Bullen's homeroom, this is your code. If you're in Mrs. Klein's homeroom, this is your code. If you're in Mrs. Weevil's homeroom, this is your code. And if you click on this link right here, it takes you to this page. We've all been to this page. Almost everybody in the classroom has this page bookmarked, don't you? You find your classroom code and you put it right here. Oops, that's not the right one. Go back into here. There it is. I had the right one. Must not have copied that. Control-C. Come back into here and put the right, there we go. There's the correct code. And if you hit enter, you will realize now, and you can do this when you get home this week, you have access to all of my slides for the whole week. And we're going to go over this in class here in just a few minutes. But again, all of the stuff in here that we're going to do in class, you're going to be able to go through and look at it on your own. If you happen to be at home, you'll be able to do that on your own. You guys feel good about signing into Nearpod? I think that's pretty easy. I don't think there's anything super hard about that at all. And hopefully if there's anybody at home that is struggling with any of those things in here, they can let me know. Obviously, until I actually describe the Google project, do you have to have that finished? Is it something I just said you have to do at home? No, we'll be doing it in class together. Now, if you are stuck at home and you can't come into school, then yeah, you can work on it, but it's not due until the end of the day on Friday. So hopefully you'll be back in class and you can finish it up with me, because I promise you that Google Slide project's really easy. The rest of this stuff is just for you. You'll always have your instructions up here. And look at that. I even put those Nearpod codes in there again. So don't be like, I can't find the Nearpod slide code, Mr. Bullens. No, they're all over the place. And if you truly can't find it, then send me a message so I can send you the code, because it doesn't take long for me to find it. Thumbs up if Nearpod's pretty good with you. You understand everything to do about that. Fantastic. Let's pause this. All right, so here we are on our second section of slides for ecosystems number 2. We will get together and watch this. I can't play a video on my YouTube. That's copyright infringement. So if you're at home, you'll see me skip over videos. You have access to the videos at home, right? We'll come back and watch this when we get done with this part of the slides. Ecosystems. This is not a new word, is it? This is a vocabulary word from last week. All the living and the non-living things in an environment and how they interact with each other. So the way that flowers interact with water and sunlight and soil and temperature. The way that animals interact with the temperature. because things change as the temperature changes and the way they interact with water. So ecosystems, very, very important. Biotic versus abiotic. Looking at the data from last week, there's about 3 of us in the entire 5th grade that is getting that backwards. Thank goodness it's not a higher percentage than that. I do need those people to work on that. But biotic are the living things, plants and animals. Abiotic are the non-living things. What are the 4 main abiotic factors? Jesse? Sun, soil, temperature, and water. And we'll watch that in just a minute as well. And we'll skip the quiz for now. Don't worry about that. I do want you to do this for now. I'm going to pause this. So, biotic factors. Producers are living things. Consumers are living things. And decomposers are living things. What in the world is a producer? What's the easy word for producer? Maddox. What's the even easier word than that? Brandon. A plant. A plant is a producer. What does a plant and a producer do? They make their own food. So you're both correct. What are consumers? What are consumers? Glenn. Or carnivores, right? If you eat something, you're a consumer. Now, we define consumers by what they eat, right? If you only eat plants, you are class? Oh, that was awful. If you only eat plants, you are class? If you only eat meat, class, you are? If you eat meat and plants, class? Herbivore, carnivores, and omnivores. Very good. What in the world is a decomposer? Dawson.
Like fungi or bacteria or worms that will break down dead things into good soil.
Something that breaks down dead things into good soil. Now, I looked at our earthworms in class this morning and realized that maybe the soil was just a little bit too dry for them. They were all still on the top. They hadn't dug down and made their tunnels. So I poured a whole bunch of water in there. The water started going everywhere. That's why the worms are in the sink right now, so that we don't make a mess in the classroom. Once that soil gets wet, I'm hoping they start digging down a little bit later on today. And again, hopefully by the end of the week, we can lift that sleeve up and see how they're digging down. And it'll be fun to watch, because then you put like some dead grass and leaves on top. You'll watch them pull it down into the ground and then start breaking it down, which is a lot of fun. Decomposers. There's something out there that's kind of like a decomposer, but it's a little bit different. It doesn't really make good soil, but it certainly does eat dead things. Raina. Scavengers. Excellent. Good job. Producers are plants, as you said, something that makes its own food. Consumers. We have herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. We'll watch those videos here in just a second, because you can't watch those online without breaking that. We're not doing the quiz right now. Decomposers we covered. All right, this looks like a word that we might have on our vocabulary from this week, isn't it? Individual. Pretty certain it is, but it's not. It should be. Individual. One of a species. You might want to start jotting this down. Yes? We'll go ahead and talk about this while people are getting their notebooks and getting back in their seats. So an individual is very easy. Like, if I tell you something is individual work, most of us know, oh, I've got to do that by myself, right? There's only one person that's going to work on that, and that person is me. So a good example of an individual is just this one tiger, or one tiger cub would be an individual. You could be a scientist that's out there studying one individual animal to kind of see what's going on with it and track its movements and its behaviors. So individual. So individual, one of a species. Obviously, there can be more than one of a species, right? I mean, we could go outside and study one squirrel, or we could study all the squirrels in one area, and that would be the population. So Fabiana had her journal out, and she's studying like one individual squirrel because it's white. It's an albino squirrel, but then she says, I'm also going to study the population of squirrels behind Friendship to see how often that anomaly shows up due to genetics. So she might study all the members of one species in an area. Now notice, this doesn't mean all the living things. What's that called? The community. All the living and non-living things, ecosystem. All the living things, community. All the members of one certain species in an area is your population. All right, so if we've looked at, we kind of go back and look, individual, one tiger, we look at population. I'm just going to ask one question. That's where I'm going to end at least the online version of today's lesson. We're going to do some other stuff in here that we really can't do online. We're also going to go back and watch all the videos. Where do tigers live? Where do tigers live? Type in your answer and hit submit. Let's see what kind of answers we get on here. I've only got 13% of you that have participated so far. Hopefully that number starts to go up pretty quickly. Where do tigers live? When you're done, I think you have to hit the submit button, right? There's a submit button. That should be going up then. Where do tigers live? I just got somebody just spelled tigers. I don't know if my computer's behind, if people just haven't typed their answer in yet. That should be going up. Where do tigers live? Okay, there we go. There's another person that answered. They think tigers live in the jungle. That's a good answer. In the savannah. Okay. They're using upcoming vocabulary words. In the rainforest. I think it's S-A-V-A-N-N-A-H, but don't worry about spelling because this isn't spelling class. Not right now. Let's see here. In the rainforest, in the jungle, in the tundra. Somebody's going to be really shocked when they hear about where the tundra is. Africa, in the savannah, rainforest, in the savannah, in the jungle. In the jungle. All right. Let's take a look at that. Let me stop this video for now.